Deepak Chopra actually taught you to meditate? Yeah. I feel like I went to the source. Like, somebody that can come off the ground and show me something. Yeah. If there's no he's really like I am. Are you good at it? No. No, me neither. I'm worried.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to More Money Conversations with Stef and Drew and Ray, my dad, as well. This is the Christmas edition. As you can see, Andrew's sporting the Christmas hat.
Ho, ho, ho.
And I have the red tie to go with it. So we have our warm drinks. I hope you guys brought your warm beverages as well to join us. And thank you for everyone for joining us and supporting us throughout this journey. I think we recently had our anniversary, 1 year doing Morning Money Conversations, and I'm delighted to share this Christmas edition with you guys. And we're kind of just organically sharing Christmas celebration in our lens view, and hopefully you can share it as well if would you like to as well. So thank you for everyone for joining us today.
Thanks a lot, Stef. Yeah, Stef said we started this journey about a year ago. Andrew and Stefan and myself as the moderator, and we started off having these financial conversations, speaking about insurance products and first mortgages for retirement. But then those are such very serious subjects that we decided halfway through the switch it up. So we started having these lifestyle conversations while we still focus on the wealth creation journey, but we wanted to be a little more engaging and a little more fun, while still being educational and informative. So here we are in December. I mean, for all of us, Christmas is one of the more important holidays for us. You said Andrew's sporting this Christmas hat and the Santa Claus beard. You got a black Santa in the house.
Best looking black Santa alive.
There you go. So we just want to have fun and just share some of our experience with you, and that sort of stuff. So Andrew, what was your experience over the last?
Before we get into that, first I want to celebrate us being in person. We started this journey 100% virtual. Ray, you've been in Florida, you're in Mississauga, I'm in Whitby. So for us to be in the same room, hey, this is the first
and many
more. So I just want to celebrate that in itself of being here. So yes, you were going on to starting us on how we kind of want to celebrate with those joining us today about what Christmas is about and some of the financial tips that we may drop here and there. So make sure you stay tuned.
Yes, Andrew, you tell us what was your experience over the last year? I mean, Steph and I are father and son, and you are my friend. I've known Andrew now for about 10, 12 years. How did you find the journey interacting with myself and Steph doing the conversations over the last year?
Well, I tell you what, it's funny you ask that question because, like you said, the relationship started with you. So I kind of knew already your temperament. I knew kind of what you were going to bring to the table as far as knowledge, as far as just experiences and different ways of looking at things. So the unknown for me was your son, Steph. Okay. But it's crazy to see how similar you guys, in the way you guys talk and the way you guys think and analyze certain things. And that to me made me just kind of a little bit at ease, because I know he's going to bring that same level of professionalism to this venture. And then when we had our one-off conversations, it was nice to see that we had the same pain points of what it means to be in business, what it means to collaborate, what it means just to be a Black professional in this environment. And I think over the time, it just has been pebbles of being able to build something that's going to be long-standing.
That is interesting. I like the fact you mentioned the word collaborate, because that's like a difficult word for a lot of people in the Black community.
Oh, it's tough.
The expectation of a lot of people is very unrealistic. So I mean, to build something that goes beyond the 2-3 month dating period, is really commendable. I mean, I've had the pleasure of working with my son Stefan since 2016.
16.
And I mean, sometimes we have different perspectives because our lived experiences are very, very different. But we respect each other's perspectives and opinions, and we always come to a happy medium. Because at the end of the day, there's a bigger goal in mind, and that goal is, for me, it's the legacy. What can I do as an immigrant to North America to make my children's life different? So to be constantly at war with the people closest to me is distracting from that process. You know, so, but yeah, enough of me. What was your experience, Steph? 12 months in.
12 months in, I noticed with Andrew when he walked in our office, one, he was on time. That's a big thing for me because I'm very punctual, and to me that shows a lot of character, and it shows that he took importance to what we were trying to build together. And what my dad mentioned, like they knew each other, but at the time when we made the meeting, my dad didn't know it was Andrew that he met before. So it was interesting that how that full circle moment came together.
That's true, right?
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah, it was, yeah. So it was a full circle moment when that happened. And what I noticed with Andrew, he doesn't wait till things get done. He takes initiative, and you know, everyone has their strengths. And when we put it all together, we built something great. And I felt like, you know, people, what I've heard from people who attend and listen at the time, they're like, they see the chemistry, and it's not just formulated. We just, you know, it didn't happen overnight. You know, there's a lot of background work that people don't know. We spent a lot of time together, and I enjoy every minute of it. Getting to know each other, you know, my dad and Andrew, like, not just on morning conversation, it's just as men in their lives. So,
well, what I don't think a lot of people know is that before we even meet on this show monthly, we meet every week.
Yeah.
On Tuesday at 10 o'clock sharp by virtual. And that's what a lot of people don't know. People think they just get onto a Zoom call or a collaboration and they just think it's going to work.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of work behind the scenes to make it work. And these men have showed up to every meeting. And if there was going to be an issue that they would let know, you know, can't make it due to whatever. So there's always been a respect level, which has been there consistently. And I think that's what goes into a part of collaborating that keeps it respectful and makes it successful in the end.
Yeah, and that is so true. I mean, those meetings are usually anywhere from half an hour to an hour and 45 minutes. And that is the real bonding for us as men. We are different generations, you know. Steph is my son, so there's almost a 30-year age gap between myself and Stefan. Andrew, I'm not gonna take his age, but he's a lot younger.
Okay, I'm just so people can buy their Christmas gifts and birthday gifts ahead of time. Next January is my birthday.
Okay.
I'll be turning.
Okay, so 5 and 0. So that's a milestone birthday.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up in the Caribbean. Andrew grew up in Ottawa. Steph is Canadian by birth. So our realities were so different. Our perspectives were different. I mean, I came to Canada when I was 25 years old. So my formative years have been in the Caribbean. Right? You know, but yeah, those meetings on Tuesday are very important. And we plan to record those meetings and start sharing snippets because those are unfiltered conversations. Like, this is a more filtered, it's not filtered, but we're here, you know, we got a general audience.
More reserved.
A little more reserved. But those conversations, we basically speak about every single subject, from life in Canada, being Black in North America, you know, fatherhood, you know, relationships, all sorts of stuff. You know, but yeah, so
actually, sorry to interrupt, but maybe this is a good point to maybe give people online the chance to ask us a question that they maybe have been wondering about us.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's a
Right?
good
If you got any questions you want to ask us, you can take yourself off mute and ask the question or put it in the chat. If you take yourself off mute, it's fine with us. Just ask the question. You know, we'll try to answer it as clearly as possible. You know what I mean? But But yeah, for us, it was a learning journey. When we started out, I basically moderated the conversations, and Steph and Andrew did presentations.
Oh boy, was that ever scripted.
And that was very scripted. I felt awkward. I felt uncomfortable. And it just didn't feel right for me. So halfway through, Andrew suggested, why don't I become part of the conversation? I said, well, this is not about me. This is about Steph and Drew. And they insisted because they thought I had much to bring to the equation in terms of my experience. So we agreed to do that. I mean, our first conversations were also a bit awkward because both Steph and I are very introverted. This whole camera reality is not our thing, We like to meet in person, across from in our office. I call it home court advantage, use a basketball analogy. So having this virtual stuff was very, very awkward for me and difficult. Andrew is more comfortable because he's very active with his Instagram stuff. He enjoyed it, but I learned to become less self-conscious and just focus on what I had to say and ignore the camera. And I think I started evolved and done a lot better. But what do you have to ask us? Like, what do you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Great. So I'm paying attention because I am looking to attract a similar type of partnership. And I thought about it, and then you said it, Andrew. So that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
It means there's a sharing of minds there. I met oh my gosh, I'm gonna say Stefan. No, I meant your name is on the tip of my tongue.
Ray, Stefan.
So Ray's dad,
Ray. I met Ray. Yes, I know that. For whatever reason, Ray, your name slipped my tongue just now. So we met. Oh Lord, it's been a long time since I met you, Ray.
More than 10 years
ago. I kind of allowed myself to be mentored by you virtually. You probably wouldn't have known that, right? So I followed you quite a bit, and then we met. So my question is, how did you guys first meet? Like, was it organic? Okay, so
you want me to take the step?
Who was it? It's Stef that invited Andrew to the forum.
So
like, explain that part.
I'll give you my version. I'll give you my version,
okay.
and then Ray can give his version. So, like I said, Ray, we met at least going on over 10 years, over 15 years, maybe.
Yeah, that's a long time. Yeah.
Over 15 years ago, where we collaborated on in-person seminars. It was me, Ray, another mortgage agent, another realtor.
Barrington is great guy. Barrington, right? A good friend of mine.
So we had a vision back then of doing
don't forget Jelani, man.
And don't forget Jelani as well.
Jelani's like virtual car dealer. I met you
guys when you were part of that crew. I met you when you were a part of that crew because I know all of those names that you just said.
Okay, so you see how the world is small. So that's how I first met Ray and got involved in working with him in that fashion. And then we fast forward to now. His son is involved, and we're doing pretty much the same thing, just virtually.
Actually, Comina just joined us in the chat. He was actually at those sessions we had with myself, Andrew, Jelani, and Barrington way back. At the time, Comina, I'm going to call you out Comina. Comina just finished university. I think Comina has a degree in economics. Great guy. He's from West Africa. Comina and I actually communicate quite a lot. Now, he found me on LinkedIn a few months ago, and I now connect him to a colleague of mine who has a tea business in England, in the UK, who does a lot of business in Ghana. So collaboration takes time. I need you guys to understand that. 15 years later, Steph was probably still in high school at the time. And here we are sitting together. So there's no quick fix to this journey, right? And that's why I say a lot of times within our environments here, people expect a monetary reward very quickly after your second or third interaction. So 15 years and his entire life, right? And then there's Dr. Vibe. So Dr. Vibe is the guy I got to actually thank for making me comfortable on camera. He interviewed me back in 2021 during the pandemic. And I told him, I'm not a camera guy, I don't want to do this stuff. But But when I go back and look at my conversations, I'm thankful for Dr. Vibe to give me the platform. I used to do a monthly show on his morning show about real estate and financing and investing. So if you want to see those conversations, you can visit the Dr. Vibe channel. And if you want to see our conversations, you can visit the morning one that comes from the YouTube channel. But yeah, it's as Andrew said, it was a very organic interaction. So when Stef told me he met this guy on LinkedIn, he didn't tell me Andrew Stroke. He told me something totally different. What did you tell me, Stef?
I messed up his last name. So
Yeah.
he has a very common last name.
So I didn't know what he was talking about. So I'm saying, and I have one principle in life. I meet everybody. I don't ignore the chance to meet somebody new, because I never know where that conversation is going to take us. Either take me or take that person. Whether they're going to mentor me, but I'm going to mentor them, or there's a chance for us to collaborate either today or in the future and do any kind of business. So Steph gave me this name, and I said, I don't know what you're talking about, son. Then, so Andrew walks in the door one day. I thought he just popped in to see me, not knowing that this was the guy I was supposed to meet. And I haven't seen Andrew probably in 10 years by this time. And we just picked up where we left off. And it is interesting the amount of commonality we have with our personalities. Andrew's much more outgoing than the two of us are. Probably not, but I mean,
you see.
I'm reserved as well.
Yeah.
But I think what everybody has the capability to do is to, we'll call it code switch, but become who they really are once they become really comfortable with the environment that they're in. And part of what we're trying to build here is, and why we started meeting every Tuesday, was to become more comfortable with being our authentic selves with each other. Like, we all know this. Black people generally respect their elders. So there's certain things that you won't say or do, or, outwardly, be offensive to, your elder. But the more that you're able to sit down with them and become more,
are you calling me the elder? Is that what you're doing?
yeah, outright. You're outright now.
You're a cool elder, Ray. You're a cool elder. Put it into perspective. You're a very cool elder.
Very
Like,
cool.
Thank you very,
Very cool. He's not your
Yeah,
typical
trust
elder.
us. Trust us on that.
Yeah,
Trust
he's not
us.
your typical
Yeah,
elder.
he's not.
Hey,
So-
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
100%. But yeah, I just wanted to add that in. And it also goes back to saying, I think it's important never to really burn your bridges.
Yeah.
Right? We tried something 15 years ago.
It didn't work.
Last, but
actually it worked, but it didn't last.
It didn't last,
Let me
right?
correct that. It didn't last. Yeah,
but it's
worked.
also important to make sure that the people that you do respect, there's no sense to end relationships when there's no need to end relationships, because you never know when it's going to come back around. I.e. Stefan giving me just a random message he sent me too, because it was just out of the blue. He's like, hey, I've been seeing your content, kind of like what you're doing. Do you mind meeting up? And I was like, bet. Let's see what happens.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thanks, Trey, for joining us this morning.
I joined out of curiosity. I joined because everything Ray is involved in is always outstanding and a stepping stone to something else. And I'm quite impressed with the fact that what we're doing here is collaborating, sharing valuable information, working on strategies for the future, that somebody could pick up a portfolio and say, hey, this is what's in the making, and this is the outcomes that we expect. I can't stay on the call too long because I have another meeting at 11. But I just wanted to tell you that I'm really intrigued and I support everything that's going on.
Thank you very much. That
Thank
means
you
a whole
very
lot
much.
to us.
So
you.
Thank you
thanks.
for joining.
Happy holidays.
And
Take
Merry
care.
Christmas to you.
Happy
Thank you.
holidays.
Bye-bye.
Yeah,
I'll see you.
holidays.
I'll talk to you before, Ray.
Thank you. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. That means a whole lot to me. And that's the indication of what we're trying to do. I mean, we want to have money conversations that are not complex and complicated. And there's no shortage of financial information out there. Everybody's a financial guru. I am not. I tell people all the time, I've made more mistakes than I care to recall in my life when it comes to money and lifestyle decisions. But what I do have is the experience to share with those who want to listen. so that they don't make those same mistakes. So my primary purpose is to share that stuff with Andrew, Stefan, Darren, Alika, Andrew's daughters, my audience, Comina, everybody, so they understand like, listen, you don't, if you go this way, this will happen. If you go this way, that will happen. Because I have taken both those paths already. So it's not about, financial products and whether you have enough life insurance or don't have enough life insurance. We all need life insurance. We all need certain mortgage products, but there's no one size fits all. So when we first started, we had a very scripted presentation, which didn't feel natural the way I did business. You know what I mean? Like I've thought both Stefan and I've mentioned Andrew. I use a 50-10 ratio in business. And what do I mean by that? All of my client appointments over these have been 60 minutes long on average or longer. I spend 50 minutes just talking crap with the client, getting to know them, and 10 minutes doing business. If I don't know you, we can't do business. If you don't want to talk to me 50 minutes, then you're in the wrong office. Let's end the conversation. And it hasn't failed us. And Steph has adopted basically the same approach. When he first started, he said, Dad, people come to talk about cars and their problems and their parents back in the Caribbean. But that's how you get to know the dynamic. Because I can't give you financial advice if I don't know you're entitled. And I'm sure Steph and Andrew can attest to the same thing, how they deal with clients. So I call it the 50-10 ratio. And I've seen my elders do it, my grandparents do it. When the people come for advice, they listen. We have a habit of wanting to speak to people before we know what the issue really is. So I sit back and I say, just tell me the story. And I listen to you. Because I can't make, whether you're buying a house or whether you're trying to, sell a piece of real estate or you want to build a home in the Caribbean, I can't tell you what to do until you tell me what is it you want to accomplish. And that's one of the first things I tell anybody I mentor, like, you gotta listen, you know what I mean? I'm gonna stop talking, I'm gonna listen. So Stefan.
Yeah, I just wanted to add with Andrew when I've reached out to Andrew and going back to like collaboration, and I think everyone can relate to this call, whatever field or what you do in life, is that you have to have the right mindset when you want to reach out to someone. So for me at the time, I didn't have an expectation meeting Andrew. I just saw what he was doing. I admire, whether it was, I think it was related to his social media presence. And at the time, that's what I wanted to do to reflect in my business as well. So there was no MMC morning money conversation, just to be honest with you, at the initial standpoint. So what I'm saying is that when you first meet someone, it may not come across any grandiose type of ideas, but you have to give things time to grow. As a plant, you grow it, you put soil, you give it water, sunlight, things take time to grow. And when morning conversation, it took time for it to grow. As you heard what we mentioned, there's changes being made to where we are today. So I just wanted to mention that to everybody in the audience.
Yeah, Andrew has some big plans for next year. So Andrew, probably you can share those with our listeners.
So the big plans are just
the plan, like what we plan to do for next year.
I thought we were gonna have a meeting about that, right? But okay.
You didn't get that memo.
You got a memo, man.
So I guess from our conversations of where we see this going, and I think Ray has mentioned this just in our private conversations, is that we want to get back to more face-to-face, hopefully in 2025. I know virtually everybody is a lot more efficient. It's easier for people to join and that stuff, but the energy, and this is why we wanted to meet in person today, is because the energy is different when you get people in a room, that you can feed off of. And then it's just much more faster synapses when you're communicating with somebody in person. So we want to try to get 1 or 2 events going in 2025 where we can have people come out and join us in our morning conversations, and we want to start having more guests on our show. People may get bored of what we bring to the table or our voices, so we want to get more voices like the Dr. Vibes onto the show to get their opinions on certain morning money conversations that they can lend a different ear to. So it's just certain things we're going to try. Some may work, some may not work, but one thing that we have shown is that we're flexible. We're not afraid to try different things. We have changed this format so many different times right now, and it's, I think every time we've made a slight change, it's luckily worked out.
Yeah.
For where we're going right now. But yeah, that's just a little tidbit into what's to come for 2025. But I want to ask Steph, what are you most excited for going into 2025?
I think what I'm looking forward to is that what you mentioned, like the things that we're planning to do, which we didn't expect to be sharing right now. So I guess we're going to share it now. I think one of the things, the conversations we had recently is, and we were meaning to do this for some time, is the Tuesday calls that we have with ourselves. And it's more raw, but I think the rawness gravitates towards people because we're talking about very current related issues among the Caribbean and African, communities. And I think it's very, to me, being, 30 years, in my 30s, to hear these conversations from different age groups, different, backgrounds as well, because I'm born here in Canada. So my perspective is a little different than Andrew and my dad, is that, what we can share to you guys, I think it'd be very beneficial what we're speaking to among ourselves. And that's one of the things I think looking forward to next year. Of course, what Andrew mentioned, the more of the guest speakers, like Ian, if you guys attended to that traveling conversation, that was a great conversation. I think a lot of positive feedback from that one. So we have, I don't want to share too much out of the bag because we have some people lined up, some, potential guests. For me, I would like to put, is what would people like from us? And we're open-minded to what kind of format you guys want from us. You want to hear this type of topic. You guys want to hear, you want in person, we want to hear from our audience members. That's how we grow, to, serve and provide a certain,
valuable content.
Yeah.
Valuable content, because we just want to put forth our best foot of where we land in regards to the space of what we do, business wise. But as far as individuals, I think sometimes it's easy to hide behind the camera and just show what you want to show to see. And I think it's just trying to be authentic. And sometimes that's having difficult conversations on difficult topics. I know, Ray, there's certain topics you said you won't touch, and that's just a rule of thumb for you because, like you said, nothing really good can come from it. But like Stefan said, what is it that audiences want to hear from people like us?
Yeah, no, that's good, man. I mean, I'm excited. I mean, the year went by so fast. I had no idea this was, we've done, I think this is our 13th episode or 12th episode. 12th episode.
Yeah.
And it just went by so quickly. We built a social media presence. We've got an Instagram page. We've got a Facebook group and a Facebook page. A lot of our content is shared on those platforms. So you can always go back and reference them. We've created our own brand, our MMC logo. So we've done a lot of the stuff, and I've discovered talents that I have that I've discovered that I didn't know I have. I'm now a graphic artist and an audio video editor.
Right.
all in
I know I was always a bit of a creative as a child growing up. I love to draw and I do a lot of photography, but I never knew I was a graphic artist. And I was sharing with Andrew this morning. We're done with the power of DNA. A lot of times we discount DNA. We were talking about real estate investing, and he was saying, you just dissect stuff so quickly. And I said, how did I do that? I said, I think it's about my DNA, because my dad, did the same thing I did. My parents were divorced when I was very young, so I never really knew my dad. We didn't grow up in the same home, but I functioned exactly like him. My grandfather, who I lived with him as a kid back in Guyana when we moved back from the UK, was very similar to myself also. Our birthdays are one day apart. 17 to 18. I'm not going to tell you guys the month because I'm not like Andrew. Right? But yeah, you know, so and then Stefan just basically walked into this whole environment and just took it so very naturally. So you know, the DNA is a very, you know, my second son is a very accomplished graphic designer and audio, video, a lot of design abilities. And he started doing that stuff when he was like 13, 14 years old. So it's just interesting to see, you know, how powerful DNA is. And so I'm going to segue now, I mean, looking at, you know, at families and money, right? How we deal with money and resources may have a lot to do with our DNA and our learned environments. So, you know, if the DNA and the learned environment has bad habits, we want to have our conversations help people change those habits without reprimanding anybody, without any judgment, just sharing that there's ways to do things. Now, always not the only way, always not the you got a question, Steph?
No, that's fine.
There's a question in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
Two stuff.
Oh, okay.
You guys not seeing that?
I
No,
can't see.
no,
I have my
I can't see-
glasses on.
No,
I don't wear my glasses, man.
I can't see that part, but sorry. Yeah,
So you don't have your glasses on, your glasses don't work. Is that what you're telling me?
you're funny. Yeah,
It says,
got that.
I want some advice from Stefan. It says, my son is 13. How do you suggest I approach him with money convos?
Oh, that's a great question. I wish she's in the call, but basically I would start with just kind of the basics. So for me, my real money lesson was when I walked in office when I was 20 something years old. I'm not going to try to figure out the year, what my age was, but it was in my 20s. And you can't depend on the school system for your child to learn, you know, real life money skill sets. Conversations like these, there's other learning tools that he can read, books. I think Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a big one. Off the top of my head, there's actual books you can learn and read and understand. And one as good as psychological part of money, understanding money, in a psychological standpoint. Just to mention those two books off the top of my head. And it's also for him, since he's 13, you have to understand the way they learn and conceptualize information might be through their device. So meaning you may not like to read the books, but you can go on YouTube, and of course you have to vet these individuals because on social media there's a lot of quote unquote crap. So
a lot of noise.
So get someone from a reputable person, someone in an industry, maybe an accountant, mortgage agent, financial advisor, someone with some type of designation, not someone just kind of grabbing a mic and just talking about money. Start from there, and it's also he has that age where you can bring him to certain events, because a lot of these financial events don't have any age limits. So bring him along, like that's what my dad did. I'm pretty sure Andrew does the same thing. Bring your children to these events, these financial events. They may not come out with anything, but at least they can recall the time they were there. And then, fast forward when they're buying their first car or, buying their home, like, oh, I remember he said this, I won't do this. And just kind of segue out of that, I was on a call with somebody, and he was in his 30s, was buying his first home, and he was about to close his mortgage, but he needed his notice of assessments, and he didn't know what that was. And he's a Canadian, to my knowledge, he's a Canadian, and he doesn't know what that was. And he had to look up what that was and figure out what a notice assessment is. And he didn't file his notice assessment, so he had to do that. So what I'm saying is that to avoid all those kind of shortcomings, do it now. He's at the perfect age to learn now than later, because later is, I've been through it. We all been through it.
Can you remember, sorry to interrupt, when you opened your first bank account, how old you were?
I don't remember how old I was. I don't know if you could tell me.
It was CIBC with the video game thing.
Oh, you mean open my bank account or the game?
The first account you opened.
That's the first account I thought it was a BMO one.
No,
Okay.
probably about 9.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think the first account you had was about 9 years old. And then the other thing I never did,
Oh,
I
got a hand up.
I never give you guys pocket money. I used to give you guys a bank draft. You remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I never give my kids pocket money like most parents.
We got a question set, right?
Oh,
You
really?
got another
Yeah.
question?
Oh, somebody has their hand up.
Hi, it's Pam. First of all, I just want to congratulate you guys on the wonderful podcast. And I know it's a beautiful creation that you guys have gone through. It's like 12 months, so congratulations. But I do
Thank
have a
you.
question. I know Mr. McMillan has said that he's learned like a skill of, you know, the Canva. I know the background scenes and everything. But I was just wondering what Andrew and Stefan, what skill have you guys acquired from this Monday morning conversation? And could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I think the skill that I've probably honed a little bit more has been my, I guess, being free from having to know exactly what's going to be scripted. Like when we first started, I had a clear agenda to talk about the infinite banking concept. I had a clear agenda of how I wanted that to be portrayed. I had a clear agenda about just what I was willing to talk about. And I think that what I've now become more free with is to just talk on and just be myself on talking about whatever I think about that financial topic that we want to talk about. And then 2, I'll be honest with you, being more consistent of showing up to a meeting. These gentlemen have helped me see the value of just consistency on being able to just show up. Sometimes showing up is the hardest part, and then showing up without any true expectations. If you just show up, there's magic in that, and just taking what you can from that. So I think I've been able to. I've always had a little bit of it, but these gentlemen have helped me hone it a little bit more.
Well, thank you, Andrew.
That's great.
That's great.
Yeah, that's
I
great.
appreciate that.
I think the biggest one for me was getting comfortable speaking in a video call, not being too in my head. I think that was the biggest one for me, like being perfect and having the best response and being very critical and stuff like that. And it took a while to remove that for myself, a few calls to remove that mindset for me, because when you're the type of person who strives for, greatness and perfection or whatever you're reaching for, is that you can become too much in your head, and that can kind of stifle your growth. And I realized it was stifling my growth. So similar to what Andrew, when I kind of disarmed that type of behavior, and that I realized I was more comfortable speaking and not being so critical and overthinking, when someone asks me a question or when it comes to me speaking. I feel like the fluidity comes out very naturally. So I learned to be more the vocalization and the thought and the thinking process was more seamless. What I learned from
That's
this.
good. That's really good. Actually, I gotta thank Dr. Vite for that, because when I started doing the morning Vite conversations, you'd always ask me, what are we going to talk about? And we never had a script. I just said, I'm just going to talk, just ask me questions. But the more questions you ask me, the more I can basically expound on that. I mean, and I guess Andrew and Steph see the same thing. I mean, Andrew asked me a question this morning. That became a 50-minute conversation. So, for us, it was, and thanks for the questions. The questions from you guys is what makes our conversation more engaging. But yeah, that's what it was for me. But, it's been an exciting journey. I never knew I'd be doing this at this stage of my life. I mean, it was always been my, my focus is helping my kids get to the next level, and anything that they want to do to get to the next level and they need my assistance, I would always be willing to put the effort in to do that for them. But, once I got involved with MMC and Andrew and Stef, it just was exciting for me. It just became like this work of passion, you know what I mean? And, they can tell you, I do something, I sent them at 2 o'clock in the morning or, and they say, oh yeah, and they're working and I know they're busy doing their business and I'm there doing stuff and sending it to them and they don't respond. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Respond to me. I need an answer, you know what I mean? But I mean, these guys are very busy. They've got their, Andrew has a financial planning business and obviously Step Up is more as consultant. So I'm a little more relaxed and got a lot more time on my hands at the moment. But yeah, it's just been an exciting journey. But now we're in Christmas, right? And the idea was also bringing part of our Christmas conversations and our Christmas experiences to the audience. And you share yours with you. So how do we celebrate Christmas? Like, what does Christmas mean to all of us? And what are our traditions? And is it special? Is this another holiday? Is it a big deal? I mean, apart from the gifts and the spending of the money, which we got to be very mindful of, because with the Christmas spending comes the January credit card, the January blues.
January blues.
What is important to us? We're going to share some of our Christmas experiences and Christmas memories. But for you guys, like, what's your Christmas thing?
Floor is open to anybody that wants to share whatever is on your heart or your minds at this particular point.
Should I just randomly pick somebody?
Ooh,
I could do that. Dr. Vibe?
it looks like he came off mic.
That's as random as it's gonna get. Well, first of all, I want to celebrate all three of you on your journey. I remember meeting Ray a number of years ago, and I tell people, I live in the east part of Toronto. I need a passport to come past Yonge Street.
I know what you mean.
Yes. So, and to be totally honest, because I don't like using these words like transparent, I like to keep it simple. To be very open, when I first met Ray, I was only planning to stay for half an hour. And that ended up to be 2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's all about relationships. And I invested my time with Ray to find out what an outstanding individual he is, not only has, is, and will be, and also his son. So the funny thing is, I'll be totally open again. Ray said, Stefan likes you. If he likes you, that's a good thing. So that's
you're good people.
Yeah. So just to amplify the family sense of family, is really, really important. For me, I could go further, but for me, it's a time of reflection. I think it's also another thing that a lot of people have to realize, not everyone has pleasant memories during the holiday season.
Yeah.
I won't get into here, but many, many years ago, I lost a close family member during the holiday season, and I still haven't let that go.
I'm sorry to hear that, bro.
And in fact, it amplifies more now than it did back then. So for me, it's a time of reflection. And I agree, the year's gone by so fast, but as we go along in this thing in life, it's not going to slow down.
Nope.
So you've got to, when people had calendars, when we used to give out calendars, we had the box, each day had a box. So I just want to challenge everybody saying, what are you filling each day of your box with? So maybe this is a time to think about in 2025. What are you filling each box of your calendar, whether it's on one of these things or one of the traditional calendars that the realtors, I don't know if realtors still give them out anymore, right? But that's my thought, and continued success. Gentlemen, I'm here to support you any way I possibly can. So you make me better, and I'm still figuring this thing out, and I've done 5,000 of these. So hey, enjoy the ride.
Thank you very much, man. We appreciate your insight and your support.
And I'm volunteering myself for any live things you have. Just tell me a little bit ahead of time.
Said that.
Remember you had said that. On camera saying that.
That's okay.
Being recorded, so
that's okay. No problem. I want to encourage actually people get out to the live events.
Mm.
Really, especially now, because people are looking forward to them. And I've been to some live events recently. There's people I haven't seen for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
So it's one thing doing it this way, but it's the next level when you can do it physically.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100% on that one. Yeah.
Since somebody had their hand up, says Stefan, but I know it's not Stefan.
Yeah.
What's your question, Ben?
Oh, sorry, I didn't have a question. I'm not
Oh, okay.
No, it's okay.
You have a Christmas memory for us?
sorry.
You have a Christmas memory for us?
A Christmas memory. Honestly, I think it would so I grew up in the Philippines, and I think the best memory, yeah, I came here when I was 9.
Nice.
Okay.
So the best thing that I remember is kind of my grandma actually decorating like wires because we didn't have money back then, right? So it's she decorated them with garlands, and she made use of what she had at home, and it was I think like what everyone I want to kind of echo what everyone's been saying. It's not really about the Christmas gifts and the material things that we get from Christmas, but it's more the memories. And yeah, I want to echo what Dr. Vibe said too. Like sometimes it's a really difficult time for a lot of people. So for me, it's just been like Christmas time has been a time for reflection and to kind of plan things for the new year. My birthday is also in January, Andrew, so we're both
Hey,
Capricorn.
nice. Fellow
Um,
Capricorn.
yes, so I'm huge on planning. So what I do in Christmas time is I make like a list of what some things I want to accomplish next year, and I know Stefan's also doing the same. So yeah, so that's kind of what Christmas is about to me. Getting back in touch with my family in the Philippines, and just kind of going on that feeling, that Christmas feeling that we all like. So yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
it's interesting you say that though, Pam, because I mean, like I moved to Canada when I was 25 years old, and I have no family here in Canada other than my kids. So there's no cousins, brothers, uncles, aunts, or parents. And so growing up in Guyana, Christmas was always a house full for us. So lots of people, lots of food. The gift stuff was, we had the gifts, but they were like basic stuff. And I got a lot of books. As this guy, I love to read. So I had a good book, like a Hardy Boy or one of those things. But yeah, so being here, before my kids were born, and even after they were born, like even when I was celebrating with them, like I missed my family. I missed my mom, missed my siblings. So I haven't spent a Christmas with my entire family, my siblings and my mom, since 1988. So I know what it feels like. And that's one of the times when you migrate. You leave your homeland and you come to a new country. Unless your entire family migrates with you, which is usually very, very rare, you're usually sort of isolated in your new homeland. And I'm pretty sure many people here can understand that. So I make a big fuss about Christmas, like Steph and Darren can, my kids can tell you that I go out in the Christmas gifts and just really go overboard, and that I like shortbread cookies. I gotta have the shortbread cookies and the quality street candies. Cause that's what I grew up having as a child. And yes, so those are my comfort things. Those things allow me to be I don't want to forget the loneliness, but it brings back a level of familiarity to my child. I had a great childhood, a lot of times we hear these sad childhoods from the Caribbean. I didn't have a sad childhood. I'm not going to pretend that I had a sad childhood. We didn't splurge on necessary stuff, but I had a great childhood. I had amazing grandparents and aunts and uncles and great aunts and plenty of cousins. So I had family and a lot of love. But I'm sure for most of us who grew up in other parts of the world, that was the most important thing for us. You know what I mean? What about you, Andrew? What's Christmas like? What's your memory for Christmas?
I'm gonna just echo the same sentiments. It's been, for me, family and tradition. I just remember consistently every year we would have our same Christmas tree. We would have our black cake. We would have the family come down that was living in Toronto. I remember as a kid, we would not go to sleep until my sister and my aunts and cousins were in the house before Christmas Eve. And just
Yeah.
the buildup of just being able to have the whole family under one roof was like, I just remember that feeling of excitement every year. And just the level of what my parents put into to making sure that this year was special.
Yeah.
Obviously, my parents are pastors, so I am a PK. So there was a heavy focus on what Christmas meant as far as Christianity goes, but then also what it means to be able to give and support and love and everything else like that. So for me, Christmas is my favorite time of year because, like you, I had very, very fond memories of this year, and I try to make it the same way for my kids.
Yeah. And that's why I think we work so well together, because we have so many similar family type, even similar family type environments. You know, I use a phrase when I speak of people working together. You know, commonality versus convenience. You know, a lot of times we have what is called convenient interactions and relationships. And sometimes that's why they don't evolve into anything amazing. For us out here who want to build and grow anything, you got to find commonality, you know. So, you know, as you work together, you spend time talking to each other and really, really getting to know each other. You know, the backstory, you know, how did you grow up? You know, what's your family like? And even for business, you know, a lot of times you see people going into business with people that they hardly even know. It sounds like a great business idea, but you and the individual have nothing in common. So at the slightest challenge, everything explodes, and then you see the true personalities come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had amazing business partners over the years. I mean, Stef knows some of them. Stef and some of those people are very, very close today. And we had great friendships. One of my business partners was on the call list of my children at school. So if I couldn't make it, he was the next person they would call, a very close friend of mine. We're still close friends up to today. So, you know, I want to tell folks out there who are trying to look at Christmas and family and business, you got to find the commonality in who you're dealing with and how you're doing things, and spend time to nurture and build a relationship. Whether it's a romantic relationship, it's a business relationship, you got to put in the time to make sure that you're on the same page and that you actually want to do stuff with this individual and not just because it's convenient, you know. So commonality versus convenience, you know, you got to find that commonality. But
yeah, Ray, I just want to add, and I put a financial spin on it. A relationship is an investment, and you gentlemen are the experts, and most investments get your most benefit when it's long term, not short term. There are some people that are there for a season, not a reason, but the best relationships are an investment from both sides.
Well, and even just to take that analogy one step further is for you as the individual to know what kind of investment it is. It's okay to have your short-term investment. It's okay to have your medium-term and long-term investments, right? But you should know where that person fits in your life, right? Yeah. So if we're going to go on the investment train, it's about planning, right?
Yeah.
It's about assessing your
That's
risk.
Risk.
And it's about being consistent, you know, making your deposits and making sure that your deposits are small but consistent, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's what relationships really do boil down to.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. So we spent a little more out you guys this morning. You know, thank you for taking the time to be here with us. We really appreciate it. We know that everybody has things to do that may be as important or even more important. You know, but we really do appreciate each and every one of you coming out and, you know, just adding to our last competition for the year. As we said, we got some plans for next year, and, you know, expect, you know, a few pleasant surprises. We're trying to grow this thing and really bring value to the audience. And even as we put the stuff up on YouTube and our social media pages, people going to look at it after, because not everybody can make the live comment. Let me understand that. I mean, at 10:15 in the morning, many people are at work and they can't look at us live. And, you know, I've had a lot of folks say, no, Ray, can you do it late in the evening? But, you know, the 10:15 kind of works for all three of us based on our schedules. But we don't mind you going back and looking at what we spoke about a day later, a week later, on our YouTube channel or Facebook profiles, pages. And make your comments, you know, I mean, ask us a question. We will respond, you know, ask us a question, put something in the chat, or just put a comment on the, and then we will respond to you. So thank you very much, guys. I appreciate the time. I'm not sure if there's any closing remarks from my two colleagues here, Stef and Drew. But, you know, I think I am grateful and gracious for the time that you guys have spent with us over the last 12 months.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say thank you and have a happy holiday season.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you again. I appreciate everyone, you know, spending a time hearing us speak and yap, and, you know, we look forward to the next year, and, you know, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Is that a last comment, or is that?
No, she's just. Yeah, okay, so we're good to go. So
But thank you, guys, and
Thank
Merry
you.
Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.